Guys, welcome to
Um,
the April Game Club discussion for Despelote. I'm really excited to kind of to discuss about this game and kind of launch into it. Um, yeah, and I
can I
guess
give the intro?
yeah, you can do the intro.
Okay, so I pulled it up real quick just to like get the synopsis is actually right. Despelote is a slice of life adventure about childhood and the magical grip soccer held over the people of Quito, Ecuador in 2001. I would also add as like a autobiographical narrative adventure slash soccer experience. Um, it adds that get immersed in the streets and parks of Quito through the eyes and ears of 8-year-old Julian. Dribble past and shoot your soccer ball around town and see what happens when you kick it someone's way. Feel the city change as Ecuador comes closer than ever to qualifying for the World Cup. And I believe that this game is their first game, I think. Um, it was published by Panic. Um, yeah.
Yeah, looks like it was well. Okay, for not for that publisher, but for the developer. The publisher
Hmm.
also
Yeah.
worked on the Goose game. But yeah, okay, yeah, that's a pretty good summary of it. I guess first reactions of playing the game. What were people's like first reaction of the game? Um, I really enjoyed the beginning part. I thought it was really cool. Like once we slowly started to pan out, I didn't realize it was happening at first until I was like, wait a minute. Like I'm literally like, oh, this is like awesome. I'm literally playing. I'm like a little kid playing a game in the living room as my mom's doing whatever in the background. But also, I guess in a tutorial like gameplay standpoint, it was really good for like kind of understanding the basic mechanic of how you'll move around in this game, specifically with the soccer part and kicking the ball and move, and while you're trying to kick the ball and things like that. I thought that was really cool, and I felt like they did that particular mechanic was really well utilized around the entire game for that. But anyways, I don't know what everyone else thought about that.
Yeah, let's keep talking about the intro a little bit.
Yeah,
It's just a short game. We can like dig into things today.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I love the intro was really I don't know, like just unexpected,
Mm-hmm.
like you just kind of like because what you start out like playing soccer and you're just like, oh, okay, like what are we getting into here? It's so cinematic, I guess, is like the feeling a little bit. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
like you think it's one thing, you're not really sure what to expect, and then um the camera pullback starts to happen, and then you start getting the sounds from outside of the game. And at
Right.
first, I thought it was an announcer, you know, or
Hmm.
something at first. Like, is this coming from the game? Like, um, and as it pulls back, you're like, oh wait, hold on, what's happening here?
Hmm. Yeah, and I think this ties into it being sort of autobiographical. But I guess I didn't realize at the time it was autobiographical. But so my first impression when you sort of open the game with a game within a game was that I guess it felt notable because there are a lot of games where it's like you play as children, and like pretty modern times. And I've always had that like I don't know. As a kid, I wasn't outside hanging out at parks or whatever. I was inside playing video games. So to have the opening reflect that felt like yeah, that's what it was like in the '90s. I guess now too. I don't
That's
know.
so true. It's like very relatable, right?
Yeah.
It is though,
That
yeah.
scene early on where like gosh, what is it? You come downstairs or whatever and you kick your sister off the TV to play your game, and then your parents kick you off the TV to like eat dinner or whatever. And they animate the hands coming up like, oh my God.
Yeah. I
Oh,
think that's
that's
why it was
true.
I think it was that's why it was also so relatable in the beginning because I was like I remember when I like got my first console and got my first video games. and my console was always like downstairs in the main living room, and I would have to
Hmm.
like play it when nobody else wanted to watch TV that time. And then
Hmm.
but it's like you get so locked in that you're like only listening to the TV like audio, if that makes sense, but then you still kind of hear your mom in the background yelling out things, or your family in the background wrestling things, but like you're so locked in. I think it did a really good job of like kind of emulating that feeling that you have when you're a kid and you're like just trying to play your favorite game while everything else around you is doing whatever. So yeah, and especially people jumping in front of the TV talking to you, yeah, and having even the multiple conversation like between the dialogue in the beginning, when you finally zoom out and you just see the TV and you're kind of able to hear everything behind you. Now you're able to hear your mom and your dad having a conversation, your sister having a conversation. They really emulated that well, of like how it felt to like just trying to game and you have everything else in the background. But yeah,
Hmm.
Oh, he has a great point about that specifically, like the focus
yeah,
you have while you're playing the game.
yeah.
Like
It's
you're
like
just like in it, you know?
absolutely. It's like, yeah, you're just like really in it, and I was like, wow, this is like really cool. But like this is it's exactly how it happens. You're just like gaming, but there's still everything else is still happening around you in the ambience and the environment, and you still hear conversations here and there, what people are saying while you're still focusing on that TV. So that was a really
Right.
cool effect in the beginning there. I really appreciated that. Um,
Hmm.
and even the art style, I really liked how they really like in the beginning. This obviously this relates to the beginning too, but even like when you're pulling out of that game and you're coming into like the reality of the main character Julian's environment, there's a distinction between his environment around him and the actual game he's playing, and the things that he can
Oh,
interact
true.
with, and even the dialogue kind of shows it sticks out really well. I really enjoyed the style. I thought I wasn't at first, but then I really started to like love it because it still felt like his environment, but like it was almost like the hand drawn some of the things that he personally liked and he personally wanted to interact with, and yeah, so I thought it was really cute. And of course there's like this like fantasy kind of thing that, well, not really fantasy, but not really sure the proper term for that part, but anyways, but yeah.
That's so true. Yeah. I guess like yeah, there's two things about that too, right? Because the in this bit, like it's the sound that starts to come in.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
so it's already kind of setting like this tone of like the sound design being like a part of like the narrative, you know?
Yeah,
As like things become louder in in the world that you're actually in the actual that you're playing this game versus like the sound from the actual soccer game, you know,
yeah,
starts to like really come in a certain kind of way. I think there's like now that we're talking about it, there's this like you mentioned the word like coming back to reality, and I was like, oh yeah, like there's a lot of like we'll talk more into this, right? But like a lot more like kind of like dream like things
yeah,
that happen in this game, right? So this the reality versus not reality thing is already kind of like being set a little bit.
Hmm.
yeah. And I think that they use the sound really well to. I think it's kind of the ideology of the innocence of a child, kind of like allowing the child and the sound to represent and really be like, oh, this is his dream state. This is what he is imagining and dreaming to do. And I mean, and at this point, Julian's like at 8 years. I think he's 8 years old. Um, I know that technically he wasn't eight, but still, the main character in the game is 8 years old, and
Hmm.
it makes this kind of like it really does this thing of like Julian is dream. Even there's a scene right now I'm watching right now in the beginning when they turn the TV off from the game and they go to the
They
World
put on
Cup
the
game.
actual game.
Yeah, the actual
Hmm.
game, but then you see like Julian's like little player model jumping up and down with the characters, kicking the goals, is because they're trying to they're trying to give this notion of like Julian is dreaming as a kid. He is literally watching this live thing and then imagining a reality with him possibly in it when he grows up. I thought that was really cool because that's something that I think a lot of kids do feel like when we watch things on TV or we experience things for the first time, we imagine and we dream. So, and it's really important to like make those sound choices because that's exactly how you would feel as a child. You live in the reality, but you hear and you're also imagining so much more, if that makes sense. So I think
Hmm.
that I think that's why this game is so heartwarming because like, oh wow, they did so good on that sound design and just also even the visuals, the real footage of the Olympics and the World Cup and all that stuff. It's like, oh yeah, this is like something that a kid would imagine. They're seeing something happening, and they're literally like, oh, what if that was me? What if that was something that I could do? So, anyways, yeah.
Wait, just to be crystal on that. So you're saying like when he's watching the game and it does like the shift in art style, so it's the more like rotoscoped, what would you call it? Like filled in white. Is that what you're talking about with like imagining
Right.
him in the
That
game?
one.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
that
yeah.
part.
Gotcha.
Like in a way that the
That part.
child's like the child sees himself because he sees others that
Yeah.
are
Okay.
represented from that, the team or whatever. Because
Hmm.
they're obviously from his home country, so he sees
Yeah.
himself in those players. And I think they did a
Hmm.
really good job of like illustrating that and making that very crystal clear. Like, oh, he's watching like maybe his first, probably not his first, but like he's watching this football game and he sees people like him, and they did a really good job of being like, how does a kid feel like? What does a kid hear when he's like
Mhm.
looking at this imagery, looking at this representation, and connecting with it, while also living in this realistic body and realistic environment around his parents. His parents are still talking, and they're saying all kind of random things, but he's not really. And the sound makes sure that you're not really focused on that though, because
Hmm.
the Julian is focused on the TV. He's focused on the football game. He's focused on imagining himself
Right,
playing
right.
that
And
game.
the
So,
sound design is doing that to you
right,
so you
exactly.
feel the same way, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that cuz I was like, "Oh wow, this is like this is such a good moment." And again, it made you
Yeah.
feel like you were Julian. Like I mean, even like this, even in the scenes of like the school where you're allowed to kind of drift off from the teacher, and you like start to look. I'm sorry, I know it's not the introduction no more, but it's the next time date. But you like start to look into the field, and it slowly zooms in like cinematically, and as you're zooming in, Julian is focusing on the soccer game going outside, and the voices, the teacher voice and everything starts to slowly like almost do a low pass filter to like represent that he's no longer really focusing on those people anymore. He's just focused on whatever he sees outside because he wants to go outside and play soccer. So
Hmm.
they did a
Very
really
true.
beautiful job of the sound design to kind of represent what it really is like to be a child. I mean, I know that personally as a child, I was like that too. Like when I saw something I really wanted to do, and I would like look at that thing, and I would just be focused so much on it. I'm not even listening to what my mom is saying anymore. My dad is saying no more to me. I barely hear them anymore. So it's like, yeah, I thought that was really a good moment and really good sound,
Hmm.
really good representative sound. But anyways,
Yeah.
I'll try to
That's
talk about
true.
sound all
That's
day,
true.
but
Um, what do you call it? Something I forgot that for us to do, since we're having a sound conversation in particular, is we forgot to do intros for today. Um,
oh
so
oh
real quick, for this game club, I'm Tim. I'm here today, and then who else is here today? We've got Darius,
yeah, yep. I'm Darius. I'm here as well.
I'm Scott.
and we've got Scott,
Yeah, Scott.
and we have Wayne somewhere. Wayne might be popping in later. And for context for folks, if folks don't remember as well, Darius is a musician, sound designer, audio engineer. So this the sound stuff is a highlight for this game.
Yeah, it definitely caught my eye a lot. Like, well, my ears, if you will. God, that's such a dirty audio joke. But yeah, it definitely did catch my attention because I mean I think also the story. Well, I'll let you finish with Scott, but I'll go into depth about that later in a second. But
Oh, there's no more about me. You can go on.
okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
What I was gonna add to the audio conversation, I think it's also really good because when you're, I think like Scott mentioned, this is pretty much like a almost an autobiography at this point too. Telling the story about Julian. Julian is one of the actual developers for this game, and so when telling the story and you're trying to like make it as realistic as possible, the sound's actually the most important thing, I believe, just because to really give off the environment that he was from and everything that he experienced, you have to have that sound. You have to have it represented, and especially when you're talking about a child. Children
Hmm.
experience things so much differently. I mean, I think everybody can agree with that. There's you're innocent. There's a lot of whimsy. There's a lot of things that you are focused on that you probably and you ignore everything else. Especially when it's something that you desire and want. So I think they did a really good job with
Right.
that, and there'll be more. There's plenty of examples of this too. And I also
Yeah.
love like I will say even the dialogue in this game from start to finish is so beautiful. Having so many different voices and people and just diverse overall voices makes it even more believable too. You know, and I love
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the kids too. Like that voice acting is it's so cool. It's like oh my gosh, like these kids are like literally like kids. They're just running around. It's like then and they're just having fun. They're giving each other bad ideas and just going with it. So yeah.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. The audio design and just like I'm assuming that they captured a lot of just real foley
Mm-hmm.
from being in the actual like city that this, because it feels like it's very real,
Yeah.
in terms of all the audio elements. And for something that is so, the art style is like so like this weird kind of photorealistic, like pictures, like it's like they took pictures and pasted them as textures right into the 3D
Yeah.
space.
Mhm.
So it's like it's not a hyper realistic world and characters at all. So it's like to make it feel like it's real, the having the atmosphere and like actual sounds of the spaces that you're in like be
Yeah.
realistic, kind of make it feel real, in a strange way. Um, so it was powerful in that way. Yeah.
And what I will say that is that even like the actual visual environment, it's detailed enough for you to get like a good feeling of like, oh, this is his house, this is his environment, this is where he's from and has lived, this is the park. And, like it obviously wasn't like super detailed, but it was detailed enough to be like, oh, and I think also the interactables also helped with that too. Like you weren't able to interact with everything, but like still enough to be like, oh, this is his bedroom, this is his toy, this is his sister's room, this is whatever the bathroom, the television. Yeah, yeah. So I thought it was really nice.
Hmm. Yeah. Let's talk about the art a little bit in general.
Yeah,
Um, I know we don't have any of our art folks in the chat today, but
I think I touched on it just a little bit, but I did what I really enjoyed was how they made things very obvious that were interactable, like like the
Mhm.
rotoscoping of the characters, and even I'm not sure. I want to say I don't think it's rotoscoping of the items, but a similar style, so
oh, the
you would know.
rotoscope. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a similar
Hmm.
style that you would know, like oh, I can interact with that, and I can touch that. I can actually touch the oven, or I can go play the console again because it's available. It's right there. Yeah, I really enjoyed that style, and I think that yeah, I think like the difference between those realistic and like retroscoping style was really really cool. To kind of stick out and be like, oh, this is what you can interact with, and these characters are moving along this world as if they're real. I guess real people. I don't know if that's right, maybe a term, but yeah.
Scott, what was your
Well, and
feel about the 2D characters in particular? I know as programmers we've
mm,
messed around with like having the camera and the actual like, assets turning and all that,
hmm hmm yeah, I mean, it's like I think there's a part of me that like looks at this sort of billboarding style of art where it's it's textures that rotate with the camera, um, as sort of a shortcut to doing not quite 3D. Um, and I'm really charmed by it just because it reminds me of that like earlier era of 3D games programming. Like Mario 64, where it's like every interactable object that wasn't if it was like a prefab, if it was like meant to exist in a bunch of places at once, that they didn't want to render a bunch of 3D geometry for it. They couldn't, afford the compute for it. So
Right.
they
Right.
they would just use
All
textures that
billboards.
would rotate with you in the world. And so that aspect of it's really cool. Is just like a nostalgic thing. Which I don't know with how much the game plays on nostalgia. Maybe some of that's intentional. Um, but I think there's also just a big part of it that's like functional, like or what am I trying to say here? Like everything that's in that rotoscoped and highlighted style are like if this game is like sort of like remembering what your childhood was like, it's like those are the things that you remember. Those are the things that you pay
Yeah.
attention to. So like the toys that you interacted with and the the TV when your video game's on it, but not the TV when the game you're not paying attention to is on it. Um
Yeah.
it's like those are like those screen the those really crystalline things are the things that get highlighted in that style, and I think it's really cool. And you can see it too when you're like wandering around the park. There'll be people like in the park who are either in that style because you're interacting with them, or people that you're not interacting with who are sort of back in that like monochromatic like Game Boy camera style, who I think are supposed to do a little more to blend into the background.
That's a good point. Yeah, there's the functional aspect of it, but also the like more like artistic aspect
Hmm
to it, like of memory, which is pretty interesting.
hmm
I guess we could call that smart in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that is so true though. I think to all the like the early era PS1, PS2 era games,
Mhm.
where the thing we would do, the smoke and mirrors, right, of everything. We got better at hiding it as we
Yeah.
got into higher fidelity and could do more with the textures, but like, you know, the environment, like, I was thinking like the Kingdom Hearts series, like I remember like, if you like break through the environment on that, like all the, you know, foreground stuff is all 2D billboards, just
hmm
put it in a
Yeah.
certain way, don't bother rendering the geometry because you need to save space. So that's a good point.
hmm
I guess quickly to add, I'm not a professional about gameplay mechanics and that like that. I also think I said it before, but I really thought the soccer mechanic was really cool to interact
hmm
with. It became a little addicting. There was like one point of the story where um, I think it's in the beginning as well. They tell you that you need to be home or like back at the bench at like at 6:30 or something. And I
Yeah.
decided that I was gonna
In the
just
park?
go, yeah, in the park.
Yeah.
And I decided I was
Mm.
just gonna play soccer with the kids, and I was just having a
hmm
blast. And like I like looked down at the watch. I was like, oh snap, I'm like actually late. I was like, I completely
Yeah.
forgot. I actually completely forgot that I was supposed to be back at that bitch. But yeah,
hmm
I just wanted to mention I like that soccer part a lot. And overall gameplay
Yeah.
throughout the game with it. It was really fun. It was also satisfying, like pulling the right like joystick back and actually like launching the ball, like so you can do like a
hmm
supercharged shot. Yeah, that was really. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I just wanted to add that
I
in.
wanted
Yeah,
I want to talk about more about the soccer, but since you brought it up, I also want to like the talk about like looking down at your watch or whatever. I thought that was so cool and
Yeah.
smart that like you
Yeah.
angle the camera down to look at your watch.
Yeah, no, that
Yeah.
was a really cool feature of that. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. There was
Like so
definitely
there's
No
not.
time.
button.
Oh, sorry, Josh.
No
Go ahead.
button. Just look down.
Yep. Well, and since it's not forced on you, it's so much easier to forget to like check for it. It's not like there's like a scripted thing where you look down at your watch, you're like, oh, I'm about to be late. It's just like halfway through playing with the kids, I was like, oh yeah, I was supposed to be thinking about that. And then I looked down and it was like 6:20, and I was like, oh shit.
Oh,
And I think the
shit.
cool thing about it is that it seemed like to me, and this literally could not be true. I have no clue because again, gameplay systems are not my thing. But there after I did that incident, there was one
Yeah.
time I was like, okay, I only have an hour. I'm just gonna like not do anything and
Mhm.
like see if the time just goes by quick
I
enough.
swear the time is
And
different. I
and
swear
then
the time is
yeah,
different.
and then the time it didn't go nowhere. I was like, okay, only a minute
Mhm.
increase. Well, I guess I'm gonna go play soccer now again. And then I was like, oh my god, it's been an hour 30 already.
Yeah.
So maybe that is a system that they built in so that
Oh,
I
I
like
think
I
if
so.
feel
you
like
Yeah.
there is a system. I
yeah
feel
Yeah.
like it
Like
is.
there's got to be some triggers somewhere in there where it's like, oh, after you've, I don't know, kicked the ball in times or something, then it kicks forward like 15 minutes or something like that. Because I did the same thing, and like
Right.
again, they're like in a way that like a game system like having a narrative purpose. It feels like when you're a kid, when you do nothing, time like comes to a
slows
standstill. It
down.
couldn't
Yeah.
move. Yeah, it couldn't move at all. But then the second you like preoccupy yourself with something, that's suddenly when it's like, okay, now it's jumping forward 15, 30, 45 minutes. So I felt like it really worked.
Yeah, I was actually going to touch on that too. That like again, making sure that you really felt like a kid at play in this game. Like if you decide that you're going to leave the bench when your mom told you to sit down,
Hmm.
2 hours pass, and next thing you know, you missed your deadline for your mom, and now she's going to fuss at you because you're late. It's like yeah, like you mentioned, just like when you're a kid, standing still like feels like forever, but
Hmm.
as soon as you start doing things, time like just flies. So yeah, that was a really if that yeah if that's a system, that's a really cool like time system, and it's very and
Right.
again look just being able to look down, not have to worry about pressing the button also was very convenient too.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Uh, but
It
getting
captures
back
that
to
feeling
the
super well.
Yeah, yeah. Getting back to the soccer ball thing though, I also really like that. I thought they did a good job with it. Like beyond just like the good tactile feel of like bringing back the stick, like you're bringing back your leg and then flicking it forward to kick it. The movement of it was really cool too, where it's like it's the ball is sort of sticky to you, but you can't just
A
like
little bit.
wander
Yeah.
around and it like
yeah,
it'll always stick with you. You sort of have to control it like you're actually playing with a soccer ball. And there's like sort of like a slow turn radius you get to it where you can sort of turn with the soccer ball, but not like perfectly. I don't know. It had a very like it. It felt like a very realistic soccer sim as opposed to like a FIFA or something like that.
yeah, and
True.
I did actually enjoy that though because I think it was like this like part of like learning the system too eventually because like okay I was like so I can't just like back up with a soccer ball necessarily
Hmm.
as much as I would like to, especially like yeah FIFA wouldn't FIFA doesn't do the way it does this. You can
Hmm.
walk up and down and do a backflip in FIFA, but like yeah you're right, like the movement was very limited as if you're kicking a soccer ball, as like
Hmm.
you can't back up as fast. You got to watch how you turn, or the soccer ball will just like kind of go off a little bit. So yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was really
I
nice.
Yeah.
I just made it feel so much more intentional. Like I felt like I was moving in ways that felt like, oh yeah, this is what I would be doing if I was trying to kick around a soccer ball. So it's like I got it
Right.
eventually. I felt like I
Yeah,
could really move with it and it felt natural enough, but it was like that was part of it. It wasn't like just a thing happening to me was that I had a soccer ball. It's like I was actually kicking the soccer ball. I was kicking around, dribbling the ball. Oh.
I feel like I'm
Right.
starting to think that
Right.
like well not really think I kind of know that like they really did with every part of like system, every intentional gameplay interaction that they added, they really did want you to feel like a kid because really think about it as a kid, yeah, you're gonna like trip over the soccer ball. I know I was horrible
Hmm.
at sports, so I would like literally try to dribble the soccer ball across the field, and I would like step on a ball and like fall down. But like, there's like this concept that you're not really free moving yet, you know, on the soccer ball, but you're learning. Even like this, there's a scene right now that I'm screen sharing where they're like trying to kick the bottles down, and it's
Uh-huh.
like a really good
Oh my god, I
moment.
love that scene so much.
Yeah,
Oh my
Hmm.
gosh.
it was such a good scene because like you end up just like like you're supposed to knock down the bottles, but you're having fun at the same time because you're like, dude, I'm gonna get these bottles. And then even when they
Hmm.
started
It's
like
so
kicking the ball,
chaotic in the best way.
I
Like
know.
it's like kids are like terrors. It's the vibe.
Now, low key, when they started kicking around the bottle, I was a little
Yeah.
concerned. My motherly instincts jumped in. I said, if they break that bottle on their leg as they're trying to kick it, I, I was like, I do not want to see that. But no, yeah, it was such a playful scene and chaotic all in the right way with the man threatening to not give them the soccer ball back until they call their mom. Oh, I guess you can break the bottle, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, you
I didn't.
can. Yeah,
I
you can kick.
didn't. I
Yep.
was not able to break it. I sorry. I was watching the share screen. I'm reading.
Oh
But
yeah.
anyways,
Totally fine.
yeah.
Sorry,
I
sorry.
think.
Jumping forward
Yeah.
a
Go
little
ahead,
bit.
Scott.
Sorry, I'm playing the game right now as we're doing it, just to sort of jog my memory as we're going. And a
Yeah.
couple of things are happening that I don't remember if they happened the first time I played it. Did you guys ever manage to pop the soccer ball?
No, I
Pop
was
it.
not.
Like make it
Well,
like
it's
deflate.
deflated. Yeah, yeah,
No.
Oh.
yeah. I'm on the day where it's after the day where your mom drops you off at the park and you're hanging around with the kids, and so you come back and the next day you're
Okay.
hanging out with your friends and you can annoy the teenagers or something. But I managed to
Oh.
like the one of the dogs in the park got a hold of the soccer ball and I think bit into it and popped it, and now the ball's
Oh.
deflated.
Wow. I did not know that. I was. I was literally just like playing soccer with the kids only. So like I didn't even
Uh-huh.
get that interaction. But that's really cool.
Dog
Wow, that's
bit.
crazy. Yeah. There was another moment earlier
That's
where, like, I kicked the ball, I think, and got stuck in a tree, and I thought maybe I just glitched the game out or something, but the kids all went up to the tree and, like, pointed it like, "Oh, no, our ball's stuck in a tree," and I had to use another ball to kick it down,
Okay, that
and
did
they
happen to
reacted
me.
to it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that did
okay.
happen to me too.
yes.
So like I did have to get like another soccer ball and like kick it down.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So that's really cool. There's like I might have to play it again because there's like some interactions I missed. And I think that was like my curious question because I know there's a lot of people like around the parks, and I mean you can literally find
Mhm.
somebody somewhere randomly in this huge map. But it was like I wonder if these people have their own unique interactions if you decide that you want to mess with the teenagers or you want to like
Mhm.
go in the shop and like I'm actually curious to like if you could literally just go in the shop and just watch the game, just go by and as time go by still. I don't know. That's cool.
Yes. I
I
keep
honestly
meaning to do
think
that because,
so.
you when you do that, when you sort of go in and watch, like, it, like, sort of focuses in and then gives you a time clock, and I'm wondering, like, if I just sit there, could I let the whole day pass watching the TV?
Yeah.
It feels that
But
way.
yeah, the unique, like, one-off interactions are really, like, um, I don't know, more detailed than uh, I don't wanna say give the game credit for, but I think I'm just impressed that, like, they went through the effort of, like, doing all this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
they're just everybody in the park, who reacts to the soccer ball has, like, a different unique reaction. They're not just, like, letting you kick the ball at them. They're like, when you get close, like, "Oh, get out of my space," I'm doing yoga or whatever.
Yeah, I think that I
Oh,
thought that was a cool little
true.
detail too, because it's like if
Mhm.
you try to say hi to people that weren't kids, they'd be like, get away from my store, or
Yeah.
like I'm doing yoga right now. It's like I love those little details, especially like in an environment building where they decide to like we're going to give this person something so that this interaction between them is as realistic as possible, and you're not
Mhm.
just there's not a limitation to who you can really speak with. Somebody's always doing
Hmm.
something, and it can unlock some other things too. So I thought that was really
Yeah.
I'm thinking more about the dribble a little bit from a design perspective, and I was thinking if they had made this third person instead of first person, how different it would be just from like the soccer game by itself in
Mhm.
particular. Because we get the third person top down experience during
Mhm.
the like the game within the game,
Yeah,
right? And there's some of that element of like, you're kicking the ball around, and but you kick the ball far enough away from your body where you have to go get the ball next, right? So
Hmm.
it
hmm
feels accurate like soccer, like, oh, okay, I kick it and then I have to go get it. I got to keep up with it. But when you're kicking it in the real world, so to speak, it's like kind of sticks to you more, right? When you're dribbling.
yeah,
Um, and I feel like the only reason that works is because of the first person view, because of the fact that like once the ball gets out of your camera zone, your viewpoint, then you lose track of the ball. It's not
yeah,
sticking anymore. So if they made it third person, they would have to make it stick more.
yeah.
If they wanted to kind of keep that same kind of like feeling of like the real dribbling experience.
hmm
Um, I just
And
think that's
I,
interesting.
and I think to add to that, I think you would also have to do something different with the because obviously you're
Yep.
running
Yeah, you
and kicking
would.
the ball. So like, and maybe that's why they decided to like even in the like the third person view in the beginning is not that detailed necessarily. It's just enough to like be like okay, you kick the ball to somebody else, it passes, and then you kind of dribble it, but you can see that it's like you said going further away from you. Maybe that's why they decided like when they got into this like close view with the kids, they decided to maybe do like a first person because you don't really see their feet too much when you're
Yeah.
dribbling at least, but like when you kick, obviously you see it, but like not when you're
Yeah.
dribbling.
Yeah,
So yeah,
It
maybe
definitely
that's
lets
a
you
good point.
cheat more about like not having to figure out what might look like a convincing animation to keep the ball sort of
yup.
within your range as
Yeah.
you can just sort of like
Yup.
have the ball magically come back to you. And like I noticed that they use the sound cues really well. So like you hear the ball getting kicked back even if you don't see it. And that's enough to go like, oh yeah, I'm dribbling it.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
There's a
That's a
part
good
right
point.
now that I'm seeing. Yeah, okay, he does knock you down. I was wondering. I was like, this part was very frustrating. I'm not gonna lie to you. This kid knocking me down as I'm having a soccer ball. I
Oh.
was like, who does this guy think he is? I was like, wait a minute.
Your dreams are being crushed in real life.
I was like,
You're
in
not
real
as good as
life,
you thought you were. Oh
like
shoot.
I was like, dang, he's
Yeah.
pushing me. I said, no, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We're on the same team.
I did think it
That's
was
so
interesting that
funny.
like in the middle of the beginning of the game, you just suddenly jump forward to being a teenager. And I
Yeah.
haven't yet figured
Mhm.
out what the what the point of that was, like what it was trying to like help communicate with that. Because it doesn't seem to really connect back to the events of like the Ecuador qualifying soccer games much. So I'm like,
Mhm.
is it just because it's sort of autobiographical and he's remembering his life, or is there some other connection here that I haven't quite like figured out yet?
Was it the teen soccer match that they had, or are you talking about the party scene? Because with the party scene,
Uh, the
I don't think
team the teen soccer match, because I think the party scene,
Yeah.
you're still like technically a well, like in the framing of the game,
The
you're a
first
kid when that
party.
happens, right?
Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I mean I think Tim kind of said it, at least for the soccer one, where like you're older. I think it literally is like, oh, this kid had this dream of being like in the major soccer league for his country, but realizing that maybe he's not as good as he thought he was, and like I guess he's like having
hmm
to kind of
hmm
face the like I mean I think a lot of people go through it, like you face the reality of like, okay, this is my level right now. Like I'm right here and this guy clearly is over here, yeah. So I think maybe that's how I interpreted that moment. Regarding the party, I really couldn't tell. I thought I think he was older during that party scene. I don't know if that maybe was like the aftermath of like kind of feeling like he's lost a little bit. I don't know.
hmm
um but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's real. That's real. Yeah, I definitely feel like the outside of the soccer, like the more playful moments, like thinking about like the narrative in particular, outside of like that, like the other more intimate, moments with the party, the one with the family, and the one with kids, right? The teenagers, when he gets older. Um, that kind of feels like the other window into Julian's like life and like what it was like kind of like growing up in that type of environment, I guess,
Hmm.
um obviously like the as the autobiographical element, like there was obviously some struggle,
Yeah.
in terms of like making friends and kind of like fitting in with what was going on and stuff, and there was this kind of vibe that like soccer was the safe space almost
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that too. Yeah. I think definitely during that party scene, it felt like he was like just kind of felt lost because he was trying to interact
Yeah.
with her. If you try to interact with people, they'll tell you to go away. There was like one dude who said hi to you, but then he like really want to talk to you. Like if you sat at the table when you walked in, he would like say, "Oh yeah, sit down with me," and he would just like kind of sit there and not say anything. You're like, yeah, so
It's true.
that's what he did. He just
uh
you would like try to
it's
interact with him, and you
true.
just like sit there and like say nothing. Like okay,
Do nothing,
yeah,
yeah. It was like a really boring area, because there's
yeah,
nothing to do.
because everybody was like telling you like to like go away. I don't know if anyone did this, but at the party scene, if you um, I guess I should rewind. If you went back to when he was young and he went to the wedding, you could actually get under the table and like hide.
I
Hmm.
did that.
Yeah,
I
okay.
did that.
In the party scene when he was a teenager, you could do the same thing outside, but there would be somebody else under there, and even she was telling you to go away. It's like, dang, I can't even be, I can't even hide for nobody in peace without someone else telling me to go away. So yeah, it was really, yeah. I guess now that I'm like talking about it, I think that that represented like him being feeling lost because he had this like dream that he wanted to do this and do that, and maybe even going through the I guess the cycle of like I can still enjoy this thing, but yeah, maybe I won't be a famous soccer player or a famous thing, but I can still do it and still like it and still enjoy it. I don't know. Maybe that's what I kind of took from it. Maybe from him growing into teenage years. Um,
True. Yeah. Yeah. I see what you mean there.
yeah,
I think I lost. Yeah. hmm Yeah, very relatable. Uh, the experiences that we see him go through.
yeah, absolutely,
Hmm.
yeah. And even like some of
Oh
the
boy.
scenes, there's a I guess jumping backwards again. There's a scene where you're getting ready for the wedding and you like interact with your sister and she's
Oh,
asked you to draw.
yes.
It's like I have a sister as well, so I remember when I was younger, I was the older brother and she was younger, and she would always ask me like to do random things or can you come hang up this in my room for me? It's like, did you ask mom this first? Like why are you yeah.
Hmm.
It's like I remember those interactions, and then of course even especially when she was like jumping in front of the TV and stuff and trying to get my attention, and I would ignore her. Like yeah, like it was very relatable. Um, and even when she was playing hide and seek in the like park, like where she was just running around and like, oh my gosh. And like I think like I think that was a time where you're supposed to make it to the bench. No, you're supposed to make it back home at 6:30.
Yeah, you have to be back
Yeah.
home. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I'm like, okay, let's wrap it up. I'm like I keep looking down at my watch. I'm like, let's wrap it up. And then she like gets stuck on the like little playground. And she's like, come get me down. It's like you literally just climbed up there. What are you doing? Yeah, it's like but it's so relatable. It's like, oh yeah, this I was like, yeah, I remember this feeling of like being the older brother and
Hmm.
having to like watch
Yeah,
over
you're
my
trying to be
siblings.
responsible,
Yeah,
and not get in trouble, and then your sister gets you in trouble because
right.
Yep.
it's like I tried, mom,
It's like, why are you
I
late?
feel
but
I'm
like
you
I
like,
wouldn't
remember
come.
oh,
playing I remember playing that sequence and like having that reaction like, okay, no, I'm gonna do the good big brother thing here and I'm gonna watch you like a hawk. And then the game freaking cheats and she just like phases through a wall. And I'm like, what? And then I couldn't find her. I was looking everywhere. I was getting like nervous.
and she's like, don't look. I'm like, okay. And then
Yeah.
luckily they added like the little sound cues so you could kind of distinguish your voice. I found that to help me a little
Oh,
bit. This is just a little bit because there's like
yeah.
one
I
time
think
where
it
she
was.
definitely did juke me. I was like, wait,
Uh Yeah, I think it was supposed to help for something about this game. The sound cues are like, I mean, they really messed with me. Maybe it would have been better with headphones or something. But like, I
oh
remember
yeah,
when you have to like find your way back home on one of the earlier days, and your mom's sort of calling to you.
I was
Um,
so lost,
I
bro.
I was
okay,
so
yeah.
lost.
I was so lost.
I will say I played this with headphones, so that's probably why I have a little bit of different experience with that. Because
Yeah.
I had my like I've literally just used my headphones as attached to my
Hmm.
computer, my audio interface. So like it was a little easier to probably hear for that. I get yeah, I guess if
Yeah.
you like play it like on like out loud or like on a Steam Deck or anything like that, um, it's probably more difficult to hear it unless you have headphones. Yeah, that makes sense
Hmm.
too, though.
Well, and I think even like not having that, right?
Yeah,
Like the experience Tim was describing about just like ending up lost. I was like, even that felt real, where I was
yeah.
like
Oh,
getting
the
lost in my own neighborhood and being like
Accurate.
sort of panicking about it. I was like, oh no.
and I actually will agree with that because I think what made it like kind of confusing at times, even if you had headphones, was because this is like a real like they really like made this environment like super realistic. So like you like if you're like in the middle of the park and you're like around so many different people around you, you can hear everybody else, and you're like, okay, I faintly hear my sister, but like I also hear the yoga guy yelling and the music blasting from the teenagers, or yeah. So, but which is really cool. But I was like, man, I was like, I really don't know where she's at. There's like a
Uh-huh.
point where I like walked around the entire park, and I was like, where is she at? And she's like behind the statue in the front of it. I was like, oh, I didn't even know it was there.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I posted a picture of the sister during the hide and seek in the chat because I just like love that, like the just how angry she looks.
Yeah.
Yeah. The clenched fist.
Yeah, she's so pissed. It's like, okay, sis, got no choice. Oh man. Um. Oh yeah. One of the things I do want to talk about too, especially, is just everything that's around the narrative. Um,
Hmm.
like the being in Ecuador, being in this city, during
Yeah.
it in 2001,
Hmm.
and like being around the people. That was just it just they really did a good job at kind of giving you the experience of being in this space, and what life may have been like during that period of time, even without a lot of the like more granular details of like
Yeah.
interacting with things that you would in like maybe like a AAA game, that you'd actually be able to like to touch stuff more often and pick up things and whatever. And they kind of like making you interact with the people felt almost like, and interacting with them in a way that like didn't like make you be locked in on a conversation all the
Yeah.
time, to
Hmm.
just like listen as a bird on the a bird on
Yeah.
on the wall or whatever. It's like, I'm just going to listen in on this conversation and eavesdrop, and I can leave whenever I want. But doing this is like I'm learning about the people, and I'm learning about their experiences, and I'm learning about like what's happening during this time just by eavesdropping around the city,
Yeah.
Um, and I just really enjoyed that. It felt like it ended too quickly at some moments. Oh, there's a flat ball.
Yeah.
It
I've been
felt like it
watching
ended too
YouTube.
There it
quickly
is.
sometimes. Like I was like, oh yeah, I'm enjoying like listening to this couple talk. And then shortly after the scene starts to end, and I'm like, oh no, I
Yeah.
wanted to listen to more conversations. you know.
Yeah, and even and I guess also I don't know, like I think that's why I said like I think they really focus on trying to make like that childlike experience of like you have your own objectives, but you live in this reality world that has things going on 24/7 around you, and you don't really like you don't pay attention to everything, but you hear snippets of it almost. Even the way that they
Hmm.
like did like you also kind of go through the cycle of how the city changes as you get closer to like the World Cup as
Yeah, the World
well.
Cup, right?
That was also a really good part. Even like going like near the shop and like listening to people who are like shopping. on that at that like corner store. Like
Hmm.
it was like really fun and entertaining to like hear them talk about the game. Some people like not wanting them to like to bring the game over here and not wanting them to win. It's like all these like little minute details that are not actually the main story, but it like helps the story and helps the environment of the story too, which is really cool. But yeah,
Hmm.
I definitely really enjoyed that. I always like listening to like the side dialogue because it's always really usually always funny or like really gives you insight of like what kind of environment or world that this kid's living in. But anyways, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Like this felt like a good experience to learn about Ecuador a little bit,
yeah,
because it kind of captures the environment so well. And then of course, like every now and then during the chapter sequences that change, and of course do like Julian's like the the dialogue, the
hmm
actual like autobiographical dialogue that he'll do on occasion, then we're kind of like, oh, okay, we're learning about the environment, we're learning about what happened, due
yeah,
to this match, uh, we learn about the film festival and the Ecuadorian movie that released by his mom and dad, you
yeah.
know.
That was really
And
cool.
I was like,
Yeah,
oh wow, yeah. Hmm. But I really enjoyed like learning about those like things around the the country, by just kind of playing it, and then we just kind of mention. I mean, there's like a mention, if y'all remember this. One of the chapters starts with like talking about the economic system collapse in
yeah.
2000. And I was like, oh shit,
Yeah, no,
I
but
didn't
that
even
was
like,
like that was super real though. Like I was like, oh, you know what?
yeah,
Yeah, that did happen. Like that was like on the news around that time, and like I guess because I'm a I was born in 1995, so I was right around first grade around 2001. Yeah, I was in first grade in 2001, and I remember
yeah.
hearing like murmurs about Ecuador and that region having to switch to currency and doing like things like that, and yeah, even just like talking about like how he was impacted by that, actually, living through that in Ecuador. Yeah, it was really cool how to tie that all in. But yeah,
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
super
there's something about
fascinating.
it that felt like I don't. It there's part of me that kept looking like how does this tie into the rest of the story? And I think it
hmm
does sort of in the way that they're everybody in the nation is very keyed into the soccer victory and what that means for their country. But I
yeah,
think there's also a big part of what I really liked about it is that it doesn't tie into um Julian's world very directly. I don't know, it feels nostalgic in a way of like I remember being a kid and big adult things were happening around me and I would hear
yeah,
murmurs about them, but otherwise just run off and go do my own thing. Um and
yeah,
it just feels like that whispered ghost of like the one that for me feels like most prevalent is just like sort of post 9/11 hearing like adults around me talking about like what this meant for the world and not
mhm.
really understanding it like I mean just the words being used but just like just seeing people being nervous around me and then that made me nervous myself.
Yeah, no, I
Right,
like, yeah,
right.
I think again, like that child innocence of like, you
Hmm.
just kind of, you're just doing whatever you want to do or whatever you can do.
Hmm.
But you hear murmurs of things happening, the adults worrying, and but it's like you don't really care. It's like, yeah, it's like that. They really wanted you to feel like an 8-year-old child, just even this party scene where he's like has a dirty suit, and every time you like walk up to your parents, oh, your suit's dirty and torn, but you're still handsome. It's like it's like it's like little things like that, and I remember like kicking balloons around in parties all the time, and I would get in trouble because I
Hmm.
made it pop too. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm,
but yeah, it's like that.
mhm.
It's like that. It's really cool how they added some historical context too for his life, like especially in 2000 when the economic was changed and they had to you know literally change their dollar, well, change their currency, I should say, to try to save their economy in their country. So yeah, I thought that was a really cool little detail to add. and a nice little history moment too, because it's like it's
Yeah.
real. Like this really did happen. Yeah, it's like
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, I love this that it basically serves as like an archival piece of like a
yeah,
history for the country in a sense. I
Mhm.
did see in the credits that this was like this game was supported by their one of their like cultural centers in
hmm
Ecuador. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's kind of interesting.
And I guess since we're like talking about it, I know like towards the end of the game, like the November 7th like part of the game, like
Hmm.
I mean, maybe I can ask y'all about that because maybe I didn't. I
That's
kind
that's
of
the that's
understood
the
it.
final chapter, right?
Yeah, it's one. Of, yeah, that's the final chapter of his childhood, where like he 3D like pretty much is like a 3D what's it 3D scan of like current day like
Mhm.
Ecuador in that region. I guess like what like was that supposed to like kind of showcase like what was the result after the World Cup, right? And like kind of the detriment it kind of did to his community. I don't know if that's like
Oh, the park,
I don't know if
right?
that was like okay, so that was right. Okay.
The park.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I feel like my takeaway from that, it was hard to separate what was supposed to be sort of like um, it's messy and messed up versus like messy and messed up because something bad happened versus messy and messed up because like it's reality. And I
Yeah.
sort of lean more towards the second one where it's like everything was more I don't know, almost like comprehensible in the memories because they were the things that he elected to remember, and everything is simpler in retrospect. And then when he sort of gets to the present day scan, it's this rough and messy and like not well put together thing, because it's like it's reality that he has to reckon with, right? That he can't like look back fondly on it because it's happening in the present moment. um, and so it's like weirdly more it is higher fidelity and lower fidelity. You suddenly have
Yeah.
all this 3D geometry to deal with, but the scans are like super messy and like hard to appreciate in the same like art styley kind of way.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. I guess I was only wondering that because I know that like there's always murmurs that when people talk about like World Cups or even like Super
Hmm.
Bowl, like people will talk about how like we did a Super Bowl in this area, and then once Super Bowl leaves, like the area becomes like desolate and like all of a sudden like all they knocked on all these things to like make this room, and then no one has ever been in that stadium for XYZ amount of time. I mean, I guess you could say that
Yeah.
about malls in America too. Malls are becoming that way right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know if that was like another commentary about like, yeah, this used to be a park, but like they made all this room for this stuff, and now it's like I don't know. I couldn't really tell though
Eh,
because it was like, again, it was really like high textured, but also very low fidelity. Where I was like, I couldn't really
yeah.
tell. Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
If
Interesting.
I don't 100% remember, but I feel like what they said was like when they qualified, like I don't think any of the games were like played or hosted in Quito.
hmm
Um, so I don't know that it's necessarily fallout from like hosting the Olympics or hosting the World Cup. Um, uh, but I think if there's a messiness to it, I don't know. He sort of talks about like when he went back that like things were like I don't want to say rougher than he remembered, but like
Different almost.
you
I
know
think he
they
said,
were yeah
yeah,
they were different. Like um, he was advised not to bring his camera equipment into the park by himself at least.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah,
and he
that
did
a security
it's
guard, yeah,
it seemed very like I couldn't tell if that was him going, oh yeah, things weren't as good as I remember them being when I was a kid,
yeah.
or things have changed since I was a kid. It wasn't sort of clear which it was, but I definitely think like the idea of it not being as nice as he remembered sort of played into um the grittierness of the present day.
And actually, now that you said
Mm.
that, there was one thing that he did mention, like during that part
Mhm.
over his voiceover. He was like, and I think that's actually I think you're actually closer to like to what that meant because like you said that
Mhm.
it wasn't as he remembered, but he mentioned that he was like actually even though Julian even though you played Julian as 8 years old in this game, I was actually technically only 4. So it's like
Yeah.
it's like he was like I didn't, I perceived it as being positive because I was only 4 years old, but like when I went back, this is what it was, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it's that makes sense. I forgot about
Hmm.
that detail, but he did say that during the voiceover that like technically I was 4 years old when this game, you know, as I'm telling you this story, Julian technically is 4 years old, but I made him 8 because I was advised to. I was advised to
Hmm.
relate, but that makes
Yeah.
sense too. Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
Well, and it's like how many things do I actually remember from when I was 4? It's like there are
Right.
things that I think I remember, but it's like I'm almost skeptical that it's not just people telling me things and then me inventing memories or me looking at like photo albums and going and like building pictures, stitching things together from things I don't actually quite remember.
Right.
So the fact that he was
I
actually
feel you on
4 and
that.
not 8, I think plays into like some of this could just be imagined. It could just be like what
Yeah.
he's been told to remember or what he has invented to remember.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's definitely accurate there. Yeah. I
Hmm.
was like, oh, that's really interesting, but it's also a really good way to kind of tie the story because it's like, yeah, like this is what I perceived as a child, but after I decided to go back and actually as an adult, to get fully work done, I'm just like, oh wow, this was actually a different experience. And I think I
Yeah.
relate to that too. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, so I got to go back home in 2024 for Christmas and the holidays.
Hmm.
And like going back, I was like, wow, like these buildings that I swore I used to see all the time when I envisioned like going home to Charleston, I like don't see anymore, or they straight up just closed or whatever.
Hmm.
And even like new highways, new pathways to get to places. I'm like, I've never been here before. It's like, yeah, so it was kind of cool to relate to that a little bit, where it was like, oh yeah, I remember that feeling of going back home as an adult and realizing that, oh, this place stinks, like this place was bad. Yeah, it was like, yeah, so
That's funny. That's very accurate. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like obviously like the game is very cut up in these chapters. It skips around a lot, right? Mostly every chapter is for a big game for the soccer team. And then you have these little other moments. So it feels like they're just little cutouts of his memory, things that he remembers either actually remembers or you know because as Scott mentioned, like has memory from talking to people or pictures or whatever, right?
Hmm.
It's like, oh yeah, that happened. So,
Hmm.
we're just kind of like jumping around to different little time moments
Yeah.
that piece together a story. you know.
Yeah, and there's like another aspect to it where it's not always like talking about like y- I, this place used to be one way and now it's a different way, or like it was this way and something bad happened and now it's changed. It's like there's an amount of like bias to just having an image of something in your head and trying to canonize that as like it's like innate how it is, that is fundamentally how it is, and then as it changes you start to think of that as like divergence from what it naturally is. But
Hmm.
um it's more like everything is sort of transient and impermanent, and like what the things you remember are just a bunch of things stitched together um in this like it was never that way, and it was never intended to be that way for a long time even if it was that way. So it's when you're just confronted with the reality of it, it's like you have to I guess make peace with that impermanence.
Great
I
point.
actually found a quote from a book I was reading recently that it captured this. It captured it better than what I just said. But the quote was, "The town of her childhood, that haphazard, dreamy Logan, was just Logan going through a phase." And that felt very like, oh yeah, the those things we remember as like the innate qualities of something are sometimes just a phase in life.
Yeah.
It is a 10-year glimpse. It is a slice of something. It's just the slice of something that we're most accustomed to.
True. True. Yeah. I like that. I like that mention, Scott. Yeah, yeah. I like how this game, in its simplicity, but realism, and just kind of like rawness, definitely invites some good diving into conversation around it.
Yeah,
I like that.
this is
That's
random, but
that's a success in my book.
yeah, I really truly did enjoy it. Oh wow, I didn't need to do this in a film store. I didn't do this.
Or the film
Um,
store.
yeah, you can pick
Mm,
up a DVD of Shrek or VHS copy of Shrek. I'm just watching this gameplay of him doing it.
Hmm.
Um, this is like before you go to hide and seek with your sister. There's
Hmm.
yeah.
your mom makes you take her to the park. Um, I thought that this is, I guess, like kind of more of a funny moment for myself when this is after the hide and seek moment. The next day you go to school and you have like a quiz and like there's actually questions on the paper. Why was I trying to actually get like the answers? I was like, I know he said the first question. I was like,
Oh yeah,
I
the
can't read that
test.
much Spanish, but I
The
know he
test.
said there's
That's
three
right.
regions. He said there's three regions in
Hmm.
Ecuador. There's three regions,
That's right.
and then
That would have
then
been funny if there was like more of the actual more stuff like that. Just like testing your knowledge about Ecuador.
yeah.
So
So I was like, oh gosh.
like were you paying attention?
I was like, I know he said. I was like, and I know he said the capital of this stuff. I was like, yeah. I thought that was a really funny part for myself, but it was also like, again, it forced a player to almost like live the experience of a child taking a pop quiz, where it's like, oh,
Hmm.
I really didn't listen to that part that you said about 3 chapters ago, and now I'm circling the answers, and he's telling me to have 20 seconds left, and it's like
Yeah.
that's crazy,
Right.
like that's crazy. And like I even tried to
That's
write
funny.
Julian's name in the top because I was like, what if this game is like I don't know who you are because you didn't write your name on the test. I was
Yep.
like
Yep. Yeah.
the fears of childhood from
That's true.
school. It's like yeah, I thought this game was so good about like making you feel like a child and really making you connect with that moment in your own life where you're like, yeah, I had a guess on a quiz before because I totally didn't listen to the teacher and I
Hmm.
was totally looking out the
That's
window
such a funny
or
thing
doing
because they
something
only
else.
use that in that one part of the game. The
Exactly.
drawing on it's so specific. It was like, yeah, it was like the team was like, yeah, we're gonna do a pop, we're gonna make them like take a test, and we're gonna make them take a test, and we have to like make you actually do the test, you
Right.
know. So we need to make a way to draw on the paper. It's like, oh yeah, sure.
I should have went to go translate it just to actually see if it was actually the questions related to the beginning of like the classroom
Mm.
in the beginning because
Mm,
I know he did mention the first question was about the regions, about how many regions is in Ecuador, or I think, and I remember him saying
mm-hmm.
three because I was like, oh, well, he did say three for that one, and then the rest of the questions I was like, oh, I have no clue. Also,
Fortunately,
her
there's no
sister
grade
loves to
apparently.
dance. I love the dancing animation for the sister randomly. Like
Hmm.
when you find her, she just like dances and then runs away. It's like okay.
That's funny. Oh my gosh. Um,
Oh,
I guess
changes.
looking at the time for today, uh any like wrap up comments about the experience. Let me mention this because I like playing games like this. I like when we play games like these, especially that because this kind of gives us a window into another lifestyle, but also
Yeah,
like invites like more diving into the location and the cultural aspects. So it made me really curious about a lot of things. Like for example, I'll mention learn about the Chevy Chochos from the local food stand guy. So
yeah,
that was new,
Hmm.
like food, little
yeah,
food thing we learned about. Um, and also I looked up the meaning of Despelote. Um, apparently, and I like this. Scott, I don't know if you looked it up before, but you used the word earlier. So,
Hmm.
um, it means like a mess, like things
Yeah.
in a mess,
Yeah.
like slang like hot mess. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I saw a quote from Julian, the designer, and he said, it's a saying in Latin America that people just say like, "This is a mess," and the word also comes from pelote, which means ball. So it's a
Yeah.
game about soccer.
Oh.
Despelote is like a mess ball, like a mess of, you know. So I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. And then he said in an interview that his mom gave him the idea for the title of the game, because he was struggling out to figure out a name, and the mom was like, "This is a despelote. This is a mess." And then he took it and ran with it.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess my final words is that. Yeah, I really like you mentioned. My favorite part of this game was being able to. I think honestly, I think my favorite part of this game was that it was kind of like an autobiography. That you literally were just living through the timeline of somebody that was born in this country. It also connects a lot of the like actual events that were happening during this time too. And I think it was just really honestly it was just really heartwarming, and especially using all of their different the environment, the sound, everything to make you feel as if you're a kid, living in this time period. Yes, you have this innocence about you, but you experience all these real things around you no matter what, because, life is life. Life happens. And then, of course, I think, like I said, everyone can relate to going back to their childhood home or wherever they're from and realizing that, like, oh, this wasn't as, maybe this wasn't as peaceful as I thought it was. Maybe I was just a kid who was truthfully delusional, you know. But you still have a
Hmm.
love for it. You still have a pride for it, in a little bit, right? Because of things like I don't know, the World Cup or whatever, but local game you went to, or even certain events that you may experience in your hometown. There's always like some reason to still love where you came from. Yeah, you may not remember. It may not be as peaches and cream as you remembered it to be, but you still have this soft space for it in your heart because you're like, that's where I'm from, and that's what I experienced many of the joys in my life. So yeah, I really enjoyed this game. This was a really fun pickup too. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and like thinking about the I know this supposed to be last words, but like one more on that thing about like coming
Mhm.
back and it not being quite you remember, like reflecting on how much of like what you do remember and what the game's like, prime most of what the game's like, back in time perspective gives you isn't like the area so much as like the people in it. And when you're
Yeah,
in the future or in the present, the people are gone. And that's part of what
yeah.
makes it feel like sort of empty and haunted. And I thought that was really cool. Um,
Mhm.
I think for me, the standout thing about this game is that I played it like basically as soon as we decided we were going to play this for the game club. So that was like a couple of weeks ago. Played it in a night because it's a pretty short game. Um, and then replayed it right before this because I wanted to make sure I was fresh on it. But also, I felt like I didn't quite remember what had happened in it, and didn't have a big like, oh, this was the point of the game or that was the point of the game. Um, and I think that's like one of it's something I actually think I really like about it. Playing it again, when I'm in the moment of the game, everything makes a whole bunch of sense. And then I'm
Mhm.
sure this will happen again. Like with time, it feels I don't know, like, it doesn't feel like it's a game that's trying to give you, like, a moral or a point so much as just give you this slice of time and make
Yeah.
it feel real, and it accomplishes that really well. It's really pleasant to be both in these memories and, and, outside of it, and just, like, interacting with the world inside of the game is, like it's fun, it's addictive in its own small walking sim kind of way to go around and kick the soccer ball.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Oh
It's
man.
like you literally just experiencing someone's life and like what they had to go through. There really
Mhm.
isn't there's not like a really talking like a selling point or anything. they're just showcasing what it looked like at that time for Julian in this game. So I think that was really nice, really awesome.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. Great point, Scott. Great point about that. It's so fascinating. I just forget with the game.
Yep.
I just come away with the experience that I had.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I just know I liked it. I can't tell you why.
Right. That's so valid. Yeah. As people say, right? Like we remember how we feel, not necessarily about what happens sometimes.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think it's a good note was actually about like really a lot of those good times and good feelings come from people, not really the environment
Hmm.
and not really the place. You know, yeah, that happens all the time. You visit places that you used to go all the time when you're young, and you're like, oh, this place is dead now. Like, there's nobody here. And it's like, yeah, because the people that made it worth living, worth being here were the people. It was the people that
Hmm.
you're
Mhm.
interacting with, and that you things that you did with people. So
Mhm.
Yeah, so true. So true. Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff, y'all. I'm glad we played this finally after it
Yes.
being out for quite a while. We got this was a good experience.
yeah,
Lots of little learnings and creative ways of storytelling with this short thing, and um, it was a good time.
yeah, I totally agree. But I guess at the end things off here. Thank you guys for coming to Game Club discussion for Despelote. Really enjoyable game. I think everyone agrees here. But catch us next time for our next Game Club discussion in May.
That's right. We
Yep.
got a good one in May. Looking forward to
Yes.
it.
All right. See you
All right.
guys.
Catch y'all around.